What if our planet suddenly became completely uninhabitable? We are talking about a sudden and complete change in everything that would allow humans to survive. There is no scientific basis for this video. Scientists have announced that the planet is not suitable for human life anymore. Humans have managed to develop a technology capable of maintaining a habitable environment within cities. Large enclosed spaces that can maintain a controlled atmosphere, an artificial climate to sustain human life, while the outside world becomes uninhabitable. After all, people have needs, and they must be met. Moreover, having access to basic resources does not prevent conflicts between nations. On the contrary, it stimulates them, since now the competition is for territory and resources. And in these cities, life continues as normal. Some explorers find abandoned settlements where they find food, water, and other supplies. Others stumble upon other survivors who form small communities. Some groups are friendly and willing to help each other, while others are hostile and dangerous. Families are torn apart, friends become enemies, and love seems like a distant memory. No one cares about beauty anymore. People are more aware of the importance of preserving the planet and preventing another disaster like the one that caused the world to become uninhabitable. The world is forever changed, and humanity is forced to adapt to the new reality. Stories of the past are passed down from generation to generation like myths and legends. Its natural balance has been altered, and it will take centuries or even millennia for it to return to its original state. Humanity has learned a hard lesson and must now face the consequences of its actions, enjoying the benefits of a stable climate and fertile land. Meanwhile, the ruled live in poverty and misery, struggling to survive in a world full of natural disasters and food shortages. Farmers, workers, intellectuals, and even members of the ruling class who feel guilty about their privileges join the cause. The resistance movement becomes a real threat to the regime, and the rulers take drastic measures to eliminate it, attacking government buildings, assassinating high-ranking officials, and spreading propaganda to undermine the regime's legitimacy. The conflict between the regime and the resistance movement escalates until it reaches a climax. But perhaps this is also an opportunity to start over and build a better future for itself. The regime tightens its grip on the population, imposing curfews, censoring the media, and using violence to intimidate the people. But the more the regime oppresses the people, the stronger the resistance movement becomes. The battle for the planet's future begins, and the outcome is uncertain. Perhaps the best thing for humanity would have been to stay in the cities and not try to conquer the Earth again. What would you do if the Earth suddenly became uninhabitable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Because now it belongs to those who are more prepared to survive, putting an end to any hope of restoring the planet's habitability. They create a propaganda system to control the minds of the masses and prevent them from revolting. They find evidence that the Earth was once again habitable before the disaster that made it uninhabitable. They also discover that there is a way to restore the planet's habitability without causing further damage. The ruled, however, are not willing to accept their fate passively. The planet is divided into military zones, and the population is subjected to constant surveillance and repression. The regime uses advanced technology to control the minds of the masses and prevent them from revolting. They begin to organize secretly, forming resistance groups that plot to overthrow the regime. As the world outside the cities becomes more and more hostile, the desire to explore it decreases. The leaders are too focused on winning the war to care about anything else. The scientists then decide to make their discovery public, hoping that it will put an end to the conflict. For decades, it's been working hard to find solutions to the problems that led to the world becoming uninhabitable. But suddenly, something unexpected happens. However, some people don't want to accept this fate. Reversing the effects of global warming and restoring the planet's habitability, the technology is controlled by a powerful organization that decides to keep it secret and use it to its advantage. The organization offers asylum to some influential people in exchange for their collaboration in creating a new world order. Those who refuse are eliminated. Thus begins the creation of a new world government with absolute control over the planet's climate. With this new technology, humanity can finally return to living on the surface of the Earth without fear of being affected by the lethal climate. Humanity can finally return to living on the surface of the Earth without fear of being affected by the lethal climate. The cities become too crowded, and some people decide to move to the countryside. They build new homes, plant crops, and raise livestock. Life begins to return to normal, but it's a very different world from the one that existed before the disaster. They decide to venture outside the city walls to discover what's become of the world. Everyone is focused on surviving another day. All art, culture, and entertainment have disappeared from the cities. Plants begin to grow again, animals return, and the climate becomes more bearable. The first explorers realize that the Earth is recovering from human activity, and that it can still be inhabited. Encouraged by this discovery, more and more people decide to venture outside the cities. The only thing that remains is the struggle for survival. People walk around freely. Children play in the streets, and cars drive through the city without any problem. They explain that the climate has changed drastically, killing most of the world's population and making the rest struggle for survival. The main cause is global warming caused by greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor, which trap heat in the lower atmosphere. But we're really not going to talk about how this happened, because we're really more interested in the consequences of this than the causes. This is a work of fiction. We will use our imagination and some knowledge of the world around us to build an alternate reality where the Earth is not habitable. Advanced filtration systems to purify the air and water, vertical farms to grow food, waste recycling plants, and even nuclear fusion reactors to generate clean energy. Only those who own the technology are allowed inside the cities. Those who don't are left to fend for themselves in the wasteland. So without further ado, let's get started. If you manage to reach the city, you'll be welcomed with open arms. Of course, only if you're useful. Every person is assigned a job according to their skills. A doctor will work in the hospital, a lawyer in the courts, an engineer in construction, and so on. No one can leave the city without permission. Security cameras monitor every corner of the street, and guards patrol day and night to prevent anyone from leaving. Those who try to escape are arrested and receive severe punishment. The temperature would rise to lethal levels, and all forms of food and water would become scarce. Let's just clarify one thing from the start. Earth has never been so hostile to humanity. Now here's the twist. In fact, these smart cities are equipped with all the necessary facilities, including air conditioning systems to maintain a comfortable temperature. But don't worry, there's a way out. However, despite all these measures, the cities are not entirely safe. Crime and violence still occur, albeit on a smaller scale than before. Life expectancy drops significantly due to stress, poor nutrition, and limited medical supplies. After a few years, humanity begins to forget what life was like before the disaster. They put on protective suits, helmets, and oxygen masks, and grab weapons to defend themselves against dangerous animals and other threats. As time passes, the world outside the cities gradually becomes less hostile. Humanity begins to repopulate the planet, but this time more responsibly and in harmony with nature. Most of the world's wealth and infrastructure have been lost, and humanity must start over from scratch. However, this time, although the Earth has returned to being habitable, everything seems to indicate that humanity has learned from its mistakes and has decided to do things differently. A group of scientists discovers a way to manipulate the Earth's atmosphere and climate. But here's the twist. This dystopian society is divided into two classes, the rulers and the ruled. The rulers live in luxury and comfort. The rulers believe that they are superior to the ruled, and that they have the right to exploit them to maintain their power. The resistance movement grows rapidly, attracting people from all walks of life. A secret police force is created to track down and arrest dissidents. The resistance groups carry out acts of sabotage and terrorism against the regime. The resistance movement launches a full-scale attack against the regime's forces, attempting to overthrow it and restore democracy on Earth. Meanwhile, In the midst of the chaos and violence, a group of scientists makes a shocking discovery. The scientists try to warn the world's leaders about their discovery, but no one pays attention to them. But their announcement is misinterpreted, and the public believes that the scientists are trying to help the regime. The scientists are arrested, and their laboratories are destroyed. In the end, the regime wins the war and imposes a totalitarian regime on Earth. Humanity is doomed to live under the yoke of a ruthless regime that exploits it for its own benefit. Now we want to hear from you.